Yeah, I will dare this judge to try to throw him in jail. His campaign
First Amendment.
Yeah.
First Amendment is a thing.
It is a thing. All right.
Daring a judge to throw your client in jail is not something that I would recommend that lawyers do. But then again, that is the worst lawyer in the history of the United States of America. Alina Habba, everyone. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Alina Habba gave that interview to the far right-wing extremist network Newsmax, where she and the host dared the various judges, I think she was specifically talking about Judge Engoron there, to throw Donald Trump in jail. I dare you. I'll show you a longer part of that interview right now where the host talks about how whack it is that these gag orders have been imposed and admits that Donald Trump is raising millions of dollars off of getting gag orders imposed on him. And then Alina Habba says that she and Donald Trump don't think about him going to jail ever. But you'll notice what she says, though, is, but the Secret Service will never let that happen, which leads me to believe that not only do they think about this a lot, but that they have conversations with the Secret Service about it, who's assigned to Donald Trump's detail. And as she, I guess, tries to explain what her position is, her argument is that Donald Trump didn't do anything criminal. Okay, well, he's been indicted in numerous criminal cases. And then she says the only thing he did wrong is make banks money. I mean, just an absurd and ridiculous thing to say. I mean, the facts that have been coming out in the New York Attorney General's civil fraud case is that Donald Trump engaged in systemic and persistent fraud throughout his career. And how do we know that? Maybe the testimony from people at the Trump Organization, like the former vice president of the Trump Organization, and Jeff McConney, and Alan Weisselberg, and others. Well, here's the clip of Alina Habba. I guess she thinks this is kind of funny, but what we should reflect upon is we are lucky that Donald Trump is being represented by such a horrendous lawyer like Alina Habba, who has already been sanctioned in a federal court nearly $1 million for filing one of the most frivolous lawsuits in the history of America. Here, play this clip.
What about the gag orders real quick, because these things are just absolutely whack to me.
Yeah.
He's campaigning for president of the United States again, and they're putting gag orders on him so what he can and can't say about a trial that is actually fueling his campaign, raising millions of dollars on it. How is this? Could they even possibly throw him in jail? What would that look like?
He's protected by Secret Service,
sure.
Period. So I always tell people when they're panicked, listen, he's protected by Secret Service, number one. Number two, he did nothing wrong. So when people go to jail, it's because they've done something wrong. Yep. Do we have crooked situations in and out of court? Absolutely. Could they try? Probably, but it won't work because there is still trial process. There is still facts, and unfortunately, they're not going to win on the facts. Secret Service will always protect President Trump. That's the truth. They have to, wherever he is. But it's not even something we think about, to be honest, because this is all political. It's really not. There's no criminal acts that he's done. There's no civil wrongs that he's done, unless making money for banks is a civil wrong all of a sudden.
Orange man bad. I mean, that's the
terrible.
crime.
It's Trump derangement syndrome at its best. I'm not worried about him. He's not worried, and the American public shouldn't be worried. He's succeeding for a reason.
Yeah, I will dare this judge to try to throw him in jail. His campaign
First Amendment. First Amendment is a thing.
It is a thing. All right.
So then after that, Alina Habba starts attacking Christie, and I don't know, she acts like she's like friends with Christie. I'm not going to be all that nice to Christie here, but Christie's trying to make a name for himself. What do you mean he's trying to make a name for himself? He was the former top federal prosecutor in New Jersey. Say what you want about Christie. Unlike Alina Habba, Christie was a real lawyer who knows a thing or two about corruption cases and states that he is convinced Donald Trump will be convicted in connection with lots of these cases, and especially the Washington, D.C. case, now that Mark Meadows got an immunity deal, and other Trumpers will be testifying against Donald Trump. But watch Alina Habba go after Christie here in that same interview. Play the clip.
Decided to run. Now I know why. Yeah. I'm not going to be that nice to you, Chris. Yeah. You're not doing well. He's not doing well, and his whole shtick right now is to piggyback on talking about Trump. frankly, just like Michael Cohen did. Yeah. You just piggyback and try and get a name for yourself, and it doesn't work. He's failed at many times in politics. He's going to fail again, clearly, and frankly, he should just drop out at this point, in my opinion.
Well, I think so, too. I mean,
and I guess that's her line. I mean, Alina Habba, who is literally doing it's all projection and confession, right? She's someone who's doing this to make a name for herself. And she's basically sold her soul and sacrificed her bar card for fame and notoriety here. So it's all projection and confession when she says, this is all about just attorney generals and district attorneys trying to make a name for themselves. Here, play this clip.
It just doesn't make sense because there is no there. Right. This is all political. This is all AGs, DAs trying to make a name for themselves, the Fannie Willises of the world who nobody knew beforehand. And, they will have a name for themselves. Unfortunately, when we win, it will not be a good one.
Well, speaking of somebody...
I think the attorney generals and district attorneys, unlike you, Alina Habba, have already made names for themselves based on merit. They got elected to their positions as either attorney generals or district attorneys by rising through the ladder in a meritocracy and showing achievement. They don't need to make a name for themselves. They are doing their job. You, on the other hand, basically lie about every single thing and have continued to make a fool of yourself, a fool of your client who's already a fool. And so, as we always say, you get the lawyer you deserve, and oh, did Donald Trump deserve Alina Habba.
A little while ago, we had the idea that we wanted to sell the best pro-democracy merchandise in the game. And candidly, we had no idea where to get started. That's why I'm so glad that I found Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Now, whether you're a garage entrepreneur or IPO ready, Shopify is the only tool you need to start, run, and grow your business without the struggle. Shopify puts you in control of every sales channel. So whether you're selling satin sheets from Shopify's in-person POS system or offering organic olive oil on Shopify's all-in-one e-commerce platform, you're covered. And once you've reached your audience, Shopify has the internet's best converting checkout to help you turn them from browsers to buyers. Now, we use Shopify in the MeidasTouch merch store, and it's completely revolutionized how we do our business. It allows us to easily manage our shop, view analytics, provide the best customer service, and streamline our entire online shopping experience from A to Z. We wouldn't be able to bring you all of the products that you know and love without Shopify, and we can't speak highly enough about them. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, and Shopify is truly a global force, powering Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across over 170 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. This is possibility powered by Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Meidas, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Meidas to take your business to the next level today. Shopify.com/Meidas.
And by the way, do you remember back when the Georgia indictment was being discussed and Alina Habba went on Fox, and even Steve Doocy of Fox was like, all right, are you concerned about this? And her line always is, no, I got super secret information here and we're not concerned at all. Play this clip.
Andy McCarthy, a Fox News contributor, and also he wrote an op-ed in the New York Post. He said that the Georgia indictment is the most perilous threat to former President Trump. Does President Trump know that this is a perilous threat?
We do not agree that it is a perilous threat because we actually have inside information. So I love when people,
what inside information?
Well, the inside information, Steve, and you used to love Trump, but I got to tell you, I mean, this is something I'm not going to breach, right? I have confidentiality and I have ethics, and I'm going to continue. But I think you need to understand something. When somebody is given a report, and he has reports that show that there was interference, and you could be advised by one lawyer that says, oh, I don't think so, and you could have another lawyer that says, no, I do think so, and here's some reports, and we know that there were issues in Fulton County, we know, it's not a question, there was election issues, and the integrity of our election is in question at this very moment. And when he says, I want to look into it, I don't trust it, we need to look into it, that's his obligation as a president, okay? Look at
Letitia James, for instance, Steve. Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, stood up on a podium, who's suing the Trump Organization, and said, President Trump is an illegitimate president. Now, is she going to get criminally charged? What about Hillary Clinton?
Well, what's happened since that time? You've had Sidney Powell, you've had Jenna Ellis, you've had Ken Chesebro, and one other defendant, but 3 of Donald Trump's lawyers have pled guilty, 2 to felonies, 1 to multiple misdemeanors in connection with the January 6th insurrection and their role as being Donald Trump's lawyer. So 3 of Trump's lawyers, his co-defendants in the Georgia RICO case, have already pled guilty, and now things are starting to get very real for Donald Trump in the Georgia RICO case as well. Just want to show you this last clip from Alina Habba from the courthouse. We've showed you a lot of these clips of Donald Trump in the courthouse, and this is Alina Habba, I guess, doing her Donald Trump imitation, where she kind of like yells at the press with this like bravado that's unearned, and she tries to lecture the press about real estate. I want to play for you what she says, and then let's just dissect it and just show you what a bunch of nonsense word salad this is. Play this clip.
Banks hire appraisers. Everybody here knows that. Anybody here that's purchased a home or purchased anything in real estate understands a very basic thing. Let me put this whole case in plain English for you, okay? You are an individual. You go to get something appraised. You say, my house is worth X. The bank doesn't take your word for it. They hire people like that gentleman to go do their own values. Now, those values are going to be lower than the ones that the homeowner or the commercial real estate owner would use. It's very basic. Anybody watching any business television can understand or explain to you these basic principles of real estate. But the point is, that's not what this is about. That is not what this case is about. It has nothing to do with this, because the statement of financial condition was actually low. The statement of financial condition didn't include President Trump's brand. The statement of financial condition does not include the big picture. If you take Trump Tower and you take the Trump name off of that building and you put Letitia James's name on that building, it will not be worth what it is worth when Donald Trump owns it.
Okay, so let's break down what she just said there. So 1, she said banks hire appraisers to do appraisals. Okay, so stipulated, I agree with that. And then she said, you go to the appraiser, and everybody in real estate knows this was her main point. You say it's worth X, and the appraiser always says it's worth less. It's not necessarily the case. What you're supposed to say to the appraiser is what the accurate information is. You're supposed to provide the appraiser with the accurate square footage, accurate comps, and yes, an appraiser does their own diligence, but part of their diligence is relying on documents and data that you provide them. So if you provide them a something under penalty of perjury, or a document that says that this is a residential property when it's really zoned for a commercial property, and you lie to them and they rely on the lie, that's just one example of something called fraud. And while appraisals are often less than what the representation may be made by the real estate owner, not always, but I'll concede that it could be less, it's not 5,000% less or 5,000% more. It's not 3,500% off. There's usually within a realm of understanding what the market value is, because the diligence documents that are turned over to the bank are supposed to be accurate. And what this case is about is that undisputed inaccurate data through statement of financial conditions and other financial representations were made to banks, taxing authorities, and insurance companies to try to play all sides and get all of the benefits. For example, if you told the appraiser that the square footage is 30,000 square feet and it's 10,000 square feet, that is false. If you told the appraiser that Mar-a-Lago is zoned as a residential property when it is subject to a deed and various historical easements that not only make it a commercial property, but a commercial property that really can't be financially exploited in any material way, and then you've also signed documents with a tax tax assessor from Palm Beach County saying that the property is valued at $26 million and that's not disclosed to the appraiser when you're supposed to provide due diligence, well, then you get into a little thing called fraud. And that's the problem here. And I'm not going to show it here because I've showed it in other videos. We've showed the testimony of Eric Trump, of Don Jr., of Alan Weisselberg, of Donald Trump, and others. And in their testimony, these people who, anybody who knows about real estate knows this or that, they all claim they don't know how anything happened. They all say, we don't know how this happened. We don't know how this person did it. That person did it. And they all point fingers to each other. And so ultimately, Alina Habba, what I care about is just the evidence, is just the data. And the evidence and the data shows that your client, Donald Trump, is committing fraud. And a judge has already found that, the undisputed evidence. Also, going back to the first video that I played, it's not as if a gag order was imposed because the judges just don't like your client. Quite the contrary. Your client is being treated better than any criminal defendant or litigant in the history of the United States of America. Anybody else who did what he did, threatening witnesses, attacking the judge, attacking the judge's law clerk, anyone engaged in that behavior would be thrown into jail immediately. And what's frustrating to the rest of us Americans and to people watching internationally is watching that behavior and saying, how is that permitted to go on? So the fact that you all are whining about these gag orders, where in fact, if anybody else did what Donald Trump did, they would be put in jail immediately. That's what should really be discussed, and that's what we discuss here on the MeidasTouch Network. Thank you for watching, and if you want to support the independent journalism that we do here at the MeidasTouch Network, go now to patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch, spelled MEIDASTOUCH. Have a great day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.